I wear no pants. I wear no pants. I wear no, I wear no, I wear no, wear no, wear no pants. Perhaps you like a...
You've found the writer's block. New worlds are we all concoct.
Where fiction has a page and playwrights have a stage.
Where poetry's allowed, non-fiction draws a crowd.
And even devs can check their articles on deck. Is English not your first? We help fix grammar's worst.
And every week or so, we host a chit-chat show.
With guests and topics too, informing scribes like you. What's optional? The pants, but manners not a chance.
Non porto pantaloni.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fictioneers webcast here on the Writer's Block Discord server. As always, I am Anarcho Andrei. I am a witness, an aspiring author, and I don't have enough time to do hardly anything these days. And we'll just go down the line and introduce everybody who's here with us tonight, starting with you, Ezzy.
Hey everyone, what's happening? Nice one, Anarcho. Thanks for the intro, man.
You're welcome. I try my best.
Evening all, I'm Gmux, admin at the Writer's Block. I run the Muxibot curation account and I'm a little bit of a writer.
Hey there, I'm Jason Boo. I'm a mod on the nonfiction workshop, an aspiring writer, and occasionally a robot voice depending on where I am at in my commute.
Jaina, you can go ahead and introduce yourself since you're going to be here with us on the show and reading your story. Or perhaps not. John, we go to you.
I'm John Knight. I'm John Knight everywhere. I am not a new kid on the block.
No, you are not. You are absolutely not a new kid on the block. How's it going, everybody?
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's been an interesting 48 hours.
Yeah, you can say that again. It's been a hell of a trip.
Hard to keep up, that's for sure.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on over the last 48 hours, and I suspect that we're going to be spending quite a bit of the show talking about that. We also have the winner for Jessica Hughes' Man versus Society conflict prompt, and that's Jaina's piece. She's going to be reading it once she gets back around to us. So she's going to be reading her piece. But in the meantime, I suspect Ezzy has something that's on his mind that he'd like to discuss. After all, he's gracing us with his presence. So
I don't know, what would that be?
oh, it's a little thing where it talked about how fiction wasn't a good fit and novels are not the right type of content to be on Steemit, and somebody making that decision for all of us. Just little things.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but I was basically, I spent the weekend with Exile. He's, pretty famous on here, I think, or quite well known anyway. So I kind of spent the weekend up there in Rotterdam. And yeah, basically when I got back, I kind of was like catching up with all the craziness going on. So I missed quite a lot of it, but yeah, I did some serious catching up in like maybe like 2 hours or so. And yeah, wow. I mean, I don't know, what's you guys' take on it? Because I haven't really heard much from you guys yet,
Well, I'm pretty vocal, but I'll let Gmux take the first go since he's actually an admin and I'm just a lowly moderator here. Part-time radio show host, but lowly moderator for the most part.
Yeah, thank you for that. Initially, we were slightly worried, a little bit up in arms. Obviously, fiction is what we do, and if that appears to be under threat, then yeah, it's going to get our hackles up. But I reached out under Transisto's reply about the flagging, and basically asked him to clarify his position, and about 3 or 4 hours later, he suddenly turned up in chat over at the writer's block and explained to us his viewpoint. He was a little bit tense at times. We had a few tempers flaring, and a couple of people, unfortunately, we had to mute, so they didn't say anything too inflammatory. But we understood where he was coming from, even though we might not necessarily agree on his stance.
Go ahead, Izzy. Go ahead, Izzy.
Sorry, buddy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I heard from Ron Dak, yeah, that you guys had this meeting with Transistor, or well, basically he came into the room and put his case forward for you guys. But yeah, I mean, you know, first things first. I don't think any of this should have been resolved through anger and aggression, which is got quite crazy at one point, to the point where, yeah, it just got into kind of back and forth kind of rant, you know. So I'm glad that was, in some ways, yeah, I'm glad Transistor took the approach to come into the room and kind of put his point forward. From what I hear, it was quite a reasoned approach, quite a logical approach, and you know, kind of, it did make sense to some degree. I don't know where you guys could see some understanding in it, possibly.
Well, you know, and I was I managed to restrain myself significantly because I felt an enormous amount of not goodwill towards the guy for what he was putting forth. But ultimately, I think he made clear his position, and it was intelligible. I mean, it was, you could follow the logic. I don't agree with it. I didn't agree with it at the time. I still don't agree with it, and I think it misses a significant portion of what Steemit is supposed to be, in favor of treating it as an investment rather than a social media platform, which ostensibly that's what Steemit is. So trying to ignore the perceptions and expectations of users in favor of treating it as an investment vehicle kind of misses the point, which was essentially what the conversation turned to, because he was viewing it as an investment. He invested heavily in it from his own money to buy himself his stake, which I am totally in favor of. I have literally zero issue with that, about buying in, and I want more people to buy in. That's how the ecosystem grows. But at the same time, you can't lose sight of the fact that, you know, aside from being an investment in your opinion, it also is a social media platform, and there is a whole lot of attendant responsibilities and responsibilities and obligations on people with large stakes regarding what they do with regards to other users.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Sorry, because if you wanted a value of, or holding of value, then why wouldn't you put it all into Bitcoin or something like that? And just sticking it all into Steam, it just seems like a strange investment strategy for all of it to go in there.
Now, there are different reasons for investing in Steam. I didn't buy as much as him by any, by anybody's measure, but I did, invest some of my fiat dollars and had plans to, on a monthly basis, invest a little bit here and there as we go. I was doing that not to make money. I was doing that so that my votes would make people feel better. In other words, I was doing it kind of from Anarcho Andrei's point of view, for the social media platform itself. I wasn't doing this for Steam. But now that I can see that it doesn't matter how much my vote is worth, because someone with more Steam power than I do can just negate my vote. I'm reevaluating those plans.
Yeah. In this flagging case, though, the author that he was flagging, albeit not down to zero, he was taking some of the rewards off, about 11 or 12 posts, I think, initially. She's quite a prolific writer, and yeah, she puts out a lot of writing every day, and every single one of those posts does make a lot of money, which does come out of the reward pool. And I'm wondering whether it's the frequency of the posts rather than the amount, if you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and I totally understand where you're coming from, Gmux. But at the same time, essentially what this boils down to, what this accomplishes as far as flagging to reduce post value, is one user with a stake saying, well, you guys over there that saw some sort of subjective value in this post, your evaluation was wrong, so let me fix it because you made a mistake and I know better than you. And I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but that is the height of arrogance.
Agreed.
That is the height of arrogance. I can't think of a more arrogant way to present your perspective. And you can couch it in whatever language you want,
And you can stand
reallocation
on the
of
white paper and say, look, I'm doing everything legally, and it still doesn't change the fact.
that's actually something that I want to write a post about, because I think there needs to be clarification from Ned, at least Ned. I know Dan's off doing EOS, but at least Ned needs to come in and clarify what he means by that, because you can make an argument, and I have, that what that means and what that refers to is posts that are clearly not worthy of reward, such as spam posts or plagiarism or stuff like that, or posts that are like one line of nothing that get circle voted by 7 or 8 people that are trying to piggyback on curation rewards. And that's my argument as far as that point goes. But
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to respond to TextSlut. Yes, flag does not equal downvote necessarily. The two are two different words. However, functionally in the ecosystem, they are the same thing. So as of right now, it's the same function being served by flags as it would be downvotes. And I agree they shouldn't be. I think they should be two separate things that serve two separate purposes. However, for the purposes of the discussion, because we're talking about how it is now, that's essentially what it is. That's what a flag does. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you, Ezzy. Go ahead.
No, sorry. Thanks. All right, cool. Right, interesting. No, really interesting. I mean, first of all, obviously, I'm on the side of fairness. I'm a writer like you guys, so of course, I don't like to see our group put to one side, and as I say, kind of like made out to be like our content is not good enough for the platform. Of course, I think that's just rubbish. That's just that's just crap. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm trying to see things from both perspectives here. Like, okay, Steam is all about a free market. So basically, no one controls. There shouldn't be a central authority controlling Steam. So basically, if Transistor came in and bought his, however much Steam he's got, he wields more power on the platform. So therefore, if he sees content that he deems shouldn't be rewarded enough or whatever, I mean, it's some people could say that it's the stake that allows him to influence his decisions. And if he sees a reward or something he doesn't like, or even if we don't like it, his stake may be just a result of a free market. So he's basically expressing his opinion through downvotes as well as upvotes. I mean, I don't know what we can do to change that. I think these will just happen, spontaneously. There'll be a big deal for this, for a while, and then people will move on to something else. But in a free market, which is what Steam is, it's going to be a problem that's always going to be in the background. But I personally don't think it's a Steemit killer. How a lot of people are going on like, this is the end of Steemit. It's going to destroy the platform. I don't think it's going to get to that level, but it's definitely going to raise an issue in the future.
Yeah, and I agree with that. With regards to the free market issue, and I had a very
fuzziness. There's a lot of fuzziness in the words free market.
Well, I mean, Steemit is about as close to a free market where there's like practically no restrictions on what you can do, because there is no centralized authority. There is in effect a central authority in that the Steam account holds a vast majority of the wealth on the blockchain and could, if it wanted to, do something. However, it's been made explicitly clear repeatedly that's not going to happen. So I don't really see that as being necessarily I don't see it as an issue. But with regards to how the free market functions, and I had a very, very long and unreasonably difficult conversation with somebody in the comments on my post. Um, the absent a central authority, there are still rules that come into play. There are still, functionally a set of laws that are applied within a community. Now, it's my opinion that valid laws arise from first principles, and you can reason these out and use logic to arrive at them. But that being said, standards of conduct do occur naturally without the coercive force of a central authority. And I think that's partly what we're seeing here. It's the old saying goes, is you vote with your dollars, right? So if you don't like what a firm is doing, you stop supporting that firm. Well, same thing goes for here. Now, unfortunately, we don't really have the option of divesting ourselves from a particular user without, just divesting ourselves of the platform entirely. But what we can do is make it clear that that sort of behavior will not be tolerated, and that we will actively seek to reduce their investment if they keep up that sort of behavior, because we do not want to reward that kind of behavior. And those are the kinds of rules that will arise in a, quote unquote free market. And I fully endorse that sort of organic development of rules and precedents, which will, hopefully govern others in the future. So if we make a big enough stink about this particular type of behavior or some particular type of behavior, others will get the picture that they're not going to profit from doing that.
I read that. I'm sorry, I read that little exchange that you had on your blog there, and I agreed with everything that you said. Yeah, go ahead. When I jumped in, I forgot what I was going to say. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, responding to Texlot's comment about how these rules can be enforced. Well, number one, we can deride, mock, and lampoon the users that are doing this repeatedly. We can turn people away from Steemit, and we can actually eventually just leave the platform. I mean, it's a voluntary thing, and if they want to run the platform into the ground, that's their business. I'd prefer not to get to that point, but somebody mentioned, it's boycotting Steam. I don't want to do that. I really have zero interest in doing that ever. And there's, I think, plenty of ways to exert social pressure on people and on users that are doing things that a large portion of us do not like, to where, we can catch the intention of influential people and they can exert social pressure on these, the guys that are doing things the wrong way. But
thoughts about this. And
yeah, go ahead, Rhonda.
I've been in conversation with a great many people over the last few days, and I can pretty much say with all certainty that bad behavior is going to backfire. If we take a different approach and we try to understand the complaint behind the flag, which you guys know I was unhappy on Michelle's behalf. There may be other ways to resolve this that are more productive and that end up with more support from the community. And I'm working on a post that is basically thinking like a whale. And what that amounts to is to try to figure out the reasoning that causes something like this to happen in the first place. And then to try to figure out if the objection is legitimate and what to do about it, if it is. And so I have a lot of thoughts I want to share with everybody this afternoon. But I mean, we need to kind of keep an open mind and make sure that we don't get into riot mindset and that we're ready to go on the attack and go on the offensive, because if we do that, we're done. I mean, not because anybody's going to flag us, but because that general attitude, that's the market's not going to support that attitude either.
No, and I think our conduct thus far, not being confrontational, but putting our points across without devolving into arguments, has gone in our favour. And as we saw, was it yesterday when Transistor come in, or the day before? I forget. I'm lost now. It's been that busy. Although we don't agree with the points that he made, he was under no obligation whatsoever to come here, and to say that he did, I think, speaks volumes.
Oh yeah, I will. I will always give him credit for coming in here and actually explaining his methodology and what he's thinking and how he's doing things. And I do applaud that effort. I want to see that effort from anybody who's questioned about their actions, to be like, look here, this is the reason why I did it. Here, let me explain to you A, B, and C. And I absolutely would love to see that from everybody who does that. That needs to happen. I want that to be a standard.
Totally agree.
When we finally sussed out his primary complaint, the light bulbs came on for me, and I understood it's a very valid complaint and it definitely needs to be addressed. And we've had Luke Stokes in the exploratory channel a couple of times now and have had some good, and he's really actively trying to help with this situation,
which I'm sad I missed, and I am sorry for that.
Yeah,
I would have
he
loved to have
is.
been there.
He's a rock star. I mean, he really is. I've been so impressed by him. And the complaint that I think that people have missed, and I understand why it's been missed, because number one, it wasn't made clear to start with. There was a lot of gibberish in some of the comments, and I don't want to just, I'm a writer and I don't want to slam people who have a diminished ability to convey information through words. But let's face facts.
Very highbrow.
Yeah, let's face facts. The reasoning was not made clear. There was some attempt to make it clear, but it was just this big cycle of what the fuck did he just say, and trying to interpret what he said. And so, I think that factored. I think that played a large role. But at the end of the day, what he was saying in the wrong way, because the flag, I granted, it did get everybody's attention and it got him looking at this issue. So I don't know. I mean, I don't agree with it and I don't think it should continue. Absolutely. But what he was saying is that when you have a post that is generating X amount of traffic, say it gets 20 views, and yet it gets a payout that is so high that you would think that maybe that post should be getting 2,000 views. What happens then is you do have an imbalance between the value of the post and the payout. Now, there's a lot of gray area there because the post is permanent. It's on the blockchain. More than 20 people are going to view that post over a period of time, long after the payout has ceased. So there's some things, but there is an argument to be made, and there's a problem there that needs to be addressed. I think all the way from the top of the platform to the bottom of the platform by users like us on Writer's Block. So what I propose, and what Luke Stokes has come in and he's doing the study of some things. I don't want to talk too much because I don't know how public we want to be, but it's good. I'll tell you that it's real good. He's doing some real financial study here on this. But the thing is to not decrease the payout. It's to increase the value. So you don't flag someone to decrease what they can make on that post, but you increase the views and you increase the value of the post so that you again have a balance. And so that's what I want to see happen. And I think that would solve people. And if we can prove Transisto just does not think that fiction's ever going to get to that point. But Amazon, I think what it's done for Amazon, and it's done for, Amazon would be nothing if it were not for the books. It started as a bookseller. They started selling fiction and they went from there. They do have nonfiction too, of course. But what I'm saying is it's the readers that drove that organization to the stratosphere, and the readers who were there for entertainment. And I can't, in my brain, as deeply as I've been involved in that industry, I cannot compute how anyone would think that entertainment and fiction and that sort of thing has no value or could add no value. So I have to just put that aside and say that may not be a valid argument, or that's not a valid argument, but we have to show how it does bring value. And we're in a real unique position with the Writer's Block to make that point and make it well. And I said it, and Andrew said it earlier. And if that is the case, I don't think Transista will mind being proven wrong at all. I think he will celebrate it. So that's the angle I'm going for. And if we're too confrontational and we're too combative and we get too nasty about it, we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot. And we've got to kind of rise above that and take this to a professional level and start thinking like a whale, never once saying that we agree with what he did. I mean, that would be blasphemy, because none of us do. However, we have to look for a better solution and listen and hear what he's saying. I want everybody to hear what he's saying. That is what I'm going to be doing after I murder a bird. I don't know if you hear him tweeting in the background.
Yes, I was going to fix to say, is that a fire alarm or?
It's the bird. But anyway, that's what I want to do is draw a lot of attention and make sure that people are hearing Transisto, not because he's right about what he did, nothing like that, but because, number one, I think if nobody listens to him, he's going to get worse. He's going to escalate. But number two, he does make a point. And although I think we can be a little more clever about ways to address it, and I think we have the platform to address it with the writer's block. I think we need to kind of think about that and start thinking of ways to get new eyes on the stuff that we write. And when Transista left the first time from the workshop the other night, we immediately started looking at other social media platforms that are meant to be used as funnels. So when we say we started a writer's block Facebook page, we're not going to Facebook. We all hate Facebook. I mean, let's face it. I only use Facebook for messages nowadays, which is pretty handy for that. But, if you can use Facebook as a funnel to get people to Steam it and to get new eyes and new money coming into the platform by, just our plans for the publishing house, we want to go and sell our products to the mainstream for fiat money, and then bring that fiat money to the blockchain and be a crypto, pay author, in crypto, and everything that we're done is on the Steemit, thing with SMTs or however we're going to do it. I'm really over my head when I start talking about that. But, if we can do that and we can bring money into the platform, I think that this particular flag incident will go away permanently.
Ultimately, that's going to be the way that we'll be able to move forward, because I can make ethical arguments till I'm blue in the face, but nobody's going to pay attention because everybody has their own subjective idea of what objective morality is, unfortunately. But I'm with you, Rhonda, and I think that's probably going to be the best way to go about it. Much as I'm loath to admit it, because my arguments are solid and they are unassailable in their logic, you're probably going to have the better approach. So it's going to be what it's going to be.
And I don't want anyone ever to misinterpret anything that I say to indicate that I was in favor of those flags.
No, and I don't think anybody does. I don't think anybody could even make that argument. So I'm not even worried about it.
Okay, well, yeah, I just how people can be on Steemit, and I just want to make that abundantly clear, just for the record, that it is a blow, and when you do receive that, it is very difficult to not take it personally. It was not personal. It was not in any way personal. I don't think he even. And here we go with the objective morality again. I don't think he even read her posts. He doesn't read fiction. He said that. So I don't think he is even prepared to make a judgment of what kind of quality of writing hers may or may not be. That he didn't care about that. He will never care about that. And he doesn't have to care about that. So we hear that and our hair stands on end and we're like, oh, blasphemy. But that's the facts. That's the facts of the case.
That was the big problem that I had with it, though, is that it seemed arbitrary towards the fiction channel rather than more of a mathematical approach, where I think there's all sorts of this going on other channels, like the spam type posts and the individual pictures or just one video post. So I'm not sure why it's directly at fiction. That was the big thing.
Well, vaccines. There have been some people who have posted about vaccines and the harm that they, can potentially do. And I don't have a dog in that fight, right now. I mean, I understand with animals, with my rescue that I run, that vaccines are not inert. When you vaccinate a puppy, you are putting substances into that puppy's body that may have very long-term effects. But the risk of that against how much parvo is on the ground here, you got to roll the dice on that. So I don't really have dog in the vaccine fight, but along with fiction, there's a whole bunch of posts about vaccines that have been getting flagged too. And that's raising kind of the same kind of outrage. And I posted a link to a video in general early this afternoon. I'm going to post it again here. Easy, if you want to say the guy's name, I cannot even pronounce it. Yeah, I know. Spam. I'm Madam Spam-a-lot today. So I'm going to post that link. But I mean, if somebody wants to say his name, I won't even make that effort.
I can't even pronounce that name, but it is a great video. Yeah, I mean, a link would be really handy for that, But yeah.
Are you talking about Kafkanarchy?
Yes.
Oh yeah, Graham Smith.
Well done.
Sorry, can I just say, forgive me if I'm wrong, but someone correct me if I'm wrong, because obviously I didn't hear what Transistor had to say, but I'm wrong. Okay, perfect.
No, go ahead.
What I'm thinking is, okay, fine. He said that he doesn't, he's not a big fan of the, fiction on Steam or whatever. I mean, but he's not trying to get rid of it. That was just his opinion. I think the crux of his problem was with the payouts. Am I right? So that was just an opinion he gave about fiction, right?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Right. Okay. So then, I mean, he's just stating an opinion. It's not like he's going to go to all of our posts and just flag us into oblivion. I mean, from what I understand, he was just thinking that there was a kind of a reward imbalance. That's not for me to say. I guess that was up to him. As I say, he has the influence, so that's what he was conducting through his downvotes. But I think, that was the crux of the matter. It's not anything against the whole writers community. But again, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that was what I got too. And, if I'm wrong, somebody's going to have to correct me too. And I feel that was underscored by him showing up in the writer's block and spending hours. He spent hours with us that night. He was off, on other servers doing this and that and the other. He kept coming back, and he engaged in some very sophisticated conversation. And, he did not have to do that. And he did not have to remain silent when some of our people nuked him. We had to mute a couple folks because they were loaded for bear, ready to just.
I self-muted. I restrained myself from talking pretty much the entire time. So
we muted a couple, and my DMs just went nuclear, bing, bing, bing. Because the people can talk to me, they're angry, and it's like, I get it. I know that you're angry, and I understand why, but let's not poke this particular bear. Let's listen to this, and ultimately that's what happened. And I honestly think that our willingness to listen to him and to try to understand this from a whale's perspective and an investor's perspective, I think what then happened is that it showed our seriousness, and our mindset to some of the top tiers on the platform. And we gained a lot of support that we don't yet realize. I'm starting to realize it because of some of the conversations I've been in. But I think that our willingness to take the high road and at least make the effort to figure out, what the problem was, is going to pay us off a lot down the road. And we can prove the point wrong that fiction brings no value to Steam it. And I mean, I'm kind of excited about that challenge. Not only is it going to benefit us, but I love being right. And it'll feel really good, to finally prove that right.
Well, I mean, I certainly hope that we do, because ultimately, despite his insistence that this wasn't a content issue, it ultimately boils down to it being a content issue, because he's, again, deciding that the people that voted for a particular piece by a particular author was not worthy of those rewards, so he was going to correct it himself. And again, I just there's no way I'm going to reconcile that view with anything that is correct, moral, or ethical. So, but at the same time, At the same time, if this motivates and provides incentive and pushes us to onboard more people and raise greater awareness for the platform and get more people into the writer's block and into what we do and reading fiction on Steemit and increases fiction as a whole, ultimately the purpose will have been served. I might not agree with the method that was taken to get there, but I will agree that the net result will have been positive.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm with you on that. I do not like the route that this came about. It was harmful. It was just plain harmful. A lot of people are quite bruised over this, and that doesn't have to be the case. But it sure got our attention. I've been known to throw a fit or two, in my local community and don't care who I hurt because I feel like nobody's listening to me. And so I get on Facebook and I say very controversial things and I generally get results. That does have some backlash, or whatever, but, you know, at least I try to make sure I'm right, when I do that.
Oh
But
yeah, and that's where I'm at now. It's
yeah.
like, I know what I'm saying is right, but ultimately it's probably not going to make much of a difference. So here we are.
Well, I think we'll benefit. I think that if we just take one for the team, I mean, and that sucks. It does. But I think if we take one for the team and we just
I
say,
don't feel
okay,
like we took one for the team. I think we fought back. That's not taking one.
that's true. I mean, that's true. We did. But I think fighting back intelligently. Gosh, I'm a writer and can't think of what you call it, but that was our ace
The
in the
appropriate
hole.
strategy. Yeah.
Dross.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, um, and whatnot. But here's the thing: I made this comment on another post from the Writer's Block account, and I haven't even looked to see if I've been flagged, egged, spammed, shot the bird. Yeah, I don't know what response I may have gotten for this, but um, there was the comment made that writers come to Steemit because they want to make money, and they see someone like Michelle Gent making money, and they think that in a year's time they ought to be making the same money, and maybe she's not, a good writer or good enough writer or whatever. I mean, just I I think she does quite well. I mean, she's definitely writing on the mainstream level, what publishes in the mainstream. Um, the answer I had for that is E.L. James. How many of us really think that E.L. James should be a multimillionaire over 50 Shades of Grey? It was one of the most, to me, offensive books, not because of the content, the X-rated content, but just because I did not think it was done well. It started as fan fiction, which I don't like anyway. And, it was, to me, that book just did not serve a positive purpose. And yet, how many films now? And how many millions of dollars have E.L. James made? Well, I feel like I'm a better writer than E.L. James. Cocky. Okay, maybe I am. I feel like everybody in this chat, on this radio show, is a better writer than E.L. James. But for some reason, someone liked what she wrote. He wrote. I don't even know this author. I don't, I just, reading the book was enough for me, or reading half of it, then I put it down. But someone saw value in that and threw a big ass upvote on 50 Shades of Grey and put that book on the map. So this concept is not unique to Steemit, as far as writers thinking that, in a year's time, that they're going to be making as much money as E.L. James just because they write well. No, it doesn't work like that. So the same kind of dynamic works. The same principle is in play. It's not new. It's not unique. I don't like it when I see a book like 50 Shades of Grey, becoming a success, but I haven't, flagged it. I mean, how do you flag somebody in the real world? If E.L. James were on Steemit, I would not flag that author for writing that. And I would not flag that author for making money on it. because that's not how we play the game.
Well, and more than that, I mean, it goes back to what I was saying. The people upvoting the post, unless you can definitively prove that there's some sort of collusion going on for the purposes of just reaping curation rewards on the post, which has happened, and this is an identifiable thing, which is why I mentioned it before. Unless you can demonstrate that this is actually in fact occurring, or there's some sort of untoward activity or behavior going on, if that post is valued at that value, it's because the people that voted it wanted it to have that value. So under what moral imperative are you going to say, oh, well, you know what, you guys were not correct. You guys made a mistake. And since I, know so much more about things than you do, I'm going to go correct your error because you were wrong and I'm right. And that's, man.
Yeah, that gets into that moral murky ground, doesn't it? And so I see all of that, Andre. I mean, I'm not dismissing it at all.
I wouldn't even argue that it's necessarily immoral. It's amoral, right? It's not immoral or moral, but it offends any sense of decency that normal people should have for how their particular, how their stake is considered by others. So, like, I mean, the rewards pool is communal, right? And we all have our stakes based on how much we have in Steam power and how much we've invested in the platform. And while the rewards pool is communal in that it pays out everybody, our stake is our own. Like, our stake represents how much we've invested in time, effort, and, outside investment. So to tell somebody, in effect, well, your stake is cool and all, but you used it wrong this time, so you probably shouldn't do that again. Oh man, that's like,
yeah,
that's not the kind of behavior or the kind of mindset that I want on a platform where I'm going to be investing time, money, and effort into, which I have. I've done all three.
And what's dangerous about that is because that is how it appears. I don't think that was what Transista was getting at. I think
no doubt that wasn't his intention, but unfortunately, that's what it comes out as.
Yes, exactly, and that's what's destructive about it. And that's why when you get the amount, I mean, when you have the amount of SP that he has, and you have the vote strength that he has, you have to think these things through really carefully. And I don't know what led up to this. I just keep getting this spidey sense that he's been trying to say this in other ways and nobody was listening. Not taking up for it, but just, so finally you just throw a tantrum and people are forced to listen or argue or egg or stone or, carry an assault rifle into a church and shoot everybody. I mean, different levels of protest that we could pick from. But the thing about it is at the end of the day, I think that we need to think like whales, and we need to remember that wasn't what he intended, and deal with the problem that he was trying to deal with in a better way. And so now we've come right back full circle to where I started talking, is that it had nothing to do with who liked her post, who didn't like her post. If he liked her post, it had nothing to do with that. It was the view count versus the payout.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what you're saying there, because if he was just trying to do something, if he was against her, if he was against whatever we initially thought, then he had no onus to come in and talk to us. I think you're right. I think he was trying to start a conversation. I don't like the side of the conversation he's on, but I've read the white paper. He's standing on law. I don't like the law.
Agreed.
The way I'm starting to look at this is we are, as a collective, going through growing pains. My God, how old is Steam? 15, 16, 18 months. We're babies.
Yes, exactly.
For me, as much as I even threw the fraud word out there in a comment, and I don't back away from that word, because really and truly, a lot of the people who come here with a misunderstanding of exactly how the system works, and nobody who has the ability, or I shouldn't say nobody, because I found people, but I had to look hard to find people who would even point me in the right direction to start understanding how Steam and Steemit actually works. And so these people are coming on. I mean, my God, in July alone, right before I got on, I looked back, looked at the charts, looked at the statistics, and in July alone, we had something like 200,000 new people showing up over the course of that month, or that month and the next. And I came in on the very tail end of that. But I'm just imagining how all those people flooded into what was essentially a very small space, not built to handle those people. And they just couldn't figure out what was going on. And if you look at those charts now, they're gone.
Yes, yes. And see, now we've moved from Transisto to Luke Stokes, because he has published a post. It's been a while. It's not an active post now, but it was managing expectations. And this was basically of users coming, especially new users coming into the platform, and they have one expectation and Steemit is actually another. And he talked
Right. It's not
about
even built for their expectation.
yeah, exactly. And so, I think that is one way that we, as a writers group, as the writers block, I think we could have a powerful effect on that, just through our post and our writing ability alone. We don't have to get on a platform and dump this into somebody's head over and over. We can, start salting the community with thoughts on this that go along with what Luke Stokes was saying in his post. He said in another post, and in conversations with us, or with me in comments, he spent some time at Steamfest with the developers. He was there when they had a panel and they were discussing things, and he said, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but it was basically, I can't stress enough how different what's really going on is from the perception of what's really going on behind the scenes at Steemit. And he said, right now, they're working on this baby platform, and really, he said, as harsh as it sounds, really don't care about a lot of the concerns that the users are making, because that isn't, that's not going to fix the problems they're trying to fix. Later down the road, when this is marketed to the mainstream and we're trying to get users in, that's going to change. So I think that we all have to kind of accept that and say, we're not where we want to be just yet with this platform. We're wanting to go mainstream, and we're wanting to do that. And now we're running up against this wall and we're beating our heads bloody. Well, you know what? Why don't we just accept the fact that we're in beta? We're
Yes.
yeah, and use this time to get Steamhouse Publishing worked out, so that by the time this does go mainstream, we can just kill it, and use the time to get all the details and the quirks worked out and all these kind of fights over with, so that we won't be doing this in front of the users who are coming onto the platform once it does go public.
I think at this early stage, the Steamhouse Publishing idea is a really important idea. It can become a backbone part of Steemit.
I do too.
Yes.
I do too.
I've been talking since, God, September of last year, trying to encourage people to find different ways to, engage in the blockchain, because, we have, 4 or 5 different front ends, which is fine, but that's not really what you need to encourage growth or even to sustain growth. You need to have some sort of functionality to the chain apart from what it offers purely in terms of social media content, which I love the social media. I really do. That's one of my favorite things about it, is I can be on here and not have to deal with the freaking Facebook BS. I can be here and be involved and engage with people and make friends and, have a sense of community and belonging without having to deal with all of Facebook's BS algorithms and what have you. But from an investor perspective, and again, this is the reason why I say I understand where he's coming from. I do think he's missing, half of the equation, but I understand where he's coming from. We need to find different ways to incentivize people to use the blockchain and use Steemit. And I think Steamhouse is going to be one of those major things that we do that allows greater exposure and widens the net for people.
Exactly. I mean, couldn't have said it better.
Hi, by the way.
Hey, Andrew.
Ahoy.
Hello.
I have audio finally.
Yay! That's a miracle right there. That's the clouds parting and a ray of sunlight shining through.
Who'd you have to litigate against to get that?
My lips are sealed.
I know you have plenty to add, Andrew. So you're welcome to it anytime you want, buddy.
I'm just sitting here nodding along. I think that Steamhouse Publishing is the way to go, and I'm super excited about it. And I really think we should put our heads together and figure out those next steps, the incorporation, how we want it to work, the nuts and bolts. That, to me, that's really the next part.
I agree. So I second.
And that's a conversation we're going to have coming with the new year, because I want to get the ball rolling. And granted, there's a lot of work I need to do on my end as an author, because I want to publish my novel through the publishing house. So there's a lot of work that I have to put forth, which I have been neglecting doing because I have so much other crap that I need to do. So I'm probably not going to really get done with it until the summer, if I get done with it during the summer. But yeah, no, I want to get the ball rolling. I do, and I think that we can find people who will have work that's in a state such that we can go from what they have to a finished product, within a matter of 6 to 8 months.
Yes, exactly. And another component of that is Geek, Stephanie. She is on the SMT thing, and I just want to. I think that has gotten. I think some dust has gotten kicked over that in this kerfluffle with Transisto. But I think that I want us all to get behind her on this. I don't understand SMTs, but I think that's going to be. I think Luke Stokes, Transisto, everybody has brought that up. And right now, we don't know what the value is going to be or how that's going to play out. But Geek, please, please, please keep on with that. Just because it got buried in the shuffle does not mean that that's not what needs to have a lot of priority given to it.
And
I am
go
working
ahead.
on that. I'm working on that as we speak.
Awesome. I am very, very happy about that.
You're awesome.
One thing I did want to mention was Transisto mentioned this specifically regarding the reward pool issue, because he mentioned several times in comments and elsewhere that he would be fine with outside investors coming in and investing in the fiction, in fiction writing here on the platform, which goes back to his point that he wants the content on here to be content that draws people in from the outside, which I mean is one way to evaluate whether or not there's value in the platform, right? And I think we can do that with the SMTs. I don't know precisely how it's going to work, and I thank you, Geek, for doing all of the legwork and the hard work and making it intelligible for the rest of us Luddites. But yeah, no, SMTs I think are going to be a great way forward in that regard, and I think it's going to address the issue that Transisto and others that he was talking about have specifically regarding this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we need to figure out if that's the way that we can fund the publishing and the marketing and all of the other bits and pieces that need to be funded. And I think one of the challenges is that I mean, other than Geek and a few other people here, no one really understands how this is going to work and exactly what it looks like. But it's super exciting. I hope it is the answer. But I think having an entity as well that possibly other people could donate to or could invest in, that's an alternative channel for getting some funding together as well.
Well,
Yes,
and that's the ideas behind the SMT. So the SMT, based on my understanding, works as a token within the blockchain. So it creates its own rewards pool that's specific to whatever group is buying into it, right? So it creates a second coin aside from just the Steam coin. Now, Steam is going to be involved with it, but so you'll have for, let's say, Writer Block coin, WB coin, you'll have Steam, you'll have WB coin, and then you'll have
Warner Brothers coin.
Yeah. Or, Writer coin. Let's do it. Let's go with that. You'll have Writer coin, you'll have Steam, and then you have, the powered up version of Writer coin to increase your stake in that particular SMT chain. And I think we can. I think that process will for people that want to support fiction writing will encourage investment in that particular arena. And if that's how that ends up happening, I am all for it. I am 100% invested in it.
The way that it was explained to me that I thought was easiest to understand is like we would become a store and we would have our own gift card, and there would be Steam on that gift card, but it would be a gift card that was just good at our store.
Yeah, exactly. So the token works, in whatever capacity it's going to work. So for whatever groups or users want to use it, it'll be there for them.
I cannot help but do this. Sold my soul to the company store.
You load 15 tons, and what do you get?
Oh.
Another day older and deeper in debt.
Gong.
All right, so I think I've said my piece, and I've monopolized the conversation enough.
Yes, you have.
Oh, shut up! Nobody asked you. I love you, Muxie.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody else jump in here. Let's have some other thoughts. I don't think we need anything inflammatory, but if we can discuss without anything inflammatory, whoever else has any ideas or different thinking, I see Rat Bastard has brought up a point about original fiction. Are you mic'd, John?
I don't think so. Hang on.
Okay,
Isn't
Greg
it-
has
Yeah.
something to
Yep.
say too.
Oh,
Here
hey,
we go.
there he is. Go ahead, Rat Bastard. That's an awesome nickname for me to say on the air, by the way. So thank you for that.
You gotta love this, Nick, don't you?
That name. So was it G-Max? Was it you asked me today if I was going to name one of these new puppies, Rat Bastard?
Yep, that was me.
They're all girls. They're all girls. So.
You better be prepared to give it away. I guess the point I'm trying to make here is, having spoken to an agent or two in my time, they want you to be able to point to somebody else who has done a very similar work that you have done and has made a success of it. A lot of my work doesn't have a big precedent. I mean, some of my stuff, I'm not blowing more trumpet, but it is quite original ideas. And that's what I thought science fiction and fantasy was all about. Is it not? I mean, am I missing something here? I mean, I always thought and I've read this since I was less than a decade old, which is going back for 4 decades, that science fiction and fantasy push the boundaries. If you're pushing the boundaries, there isn't a precedent.
That goes back to the original thing we were talking about earlier, the difference between expectations of writers and expectations of investors. You could look at those editors and publishers. They're looking at a whole different set of criteria from what you're looking at.
Absolutely.
Amen. Yes. That ding, ding, ding. Yes. John Knight, you nailed it. I'm sorry I didn't mean to interrupt, but you said it well. Go ahead. Sorry. I'm shutting up now.
I absolutely agree with you, John, but there has to be some place for truly original fiction rather than just clones of what has been successful in the immediate past.
I think that's where the Steam House Publishing can come in. I've got a funny feeling that the people here are going to be looking for original, brand new ideas.
Amen. Yes.
I know I am. That's part of the reason why I write here the way I do.
Like GoBots.
Yeah, I can't. GoBots, yes. Speaking now, speaking as a founding brain behind the Steam House idea, you nailed it. We can afford to take those chances. We can afford to take chances that traditional publishing houses cannot, because we have no overhead. Print on demand services, with like the ones we plan to use, Pronoun went out. That's no longer an option. I still look at Create Space and KDP as probably the best bet. There's no cost, zero cost to publish through those platforms. Even the print books, you don't have to give them a dime to get them loaded up in the presses and get them rolled out. Now, to buy your proof copies, mine were like $5 and $6, my cost to get the proof copies in. Now that's totally manageable. That is, I can pay $6 to get a proof copy of my book, and then it doesn't serve me at all to buy 50 print copies of Talking to Luke
50
or
Shades of Grey.
Wingspan. No, I'm talking about my books. Don't even taint my story with that one. But now, yeah, the thing there is that it serves me no purpose to buy books, because where am I going to sell them? What happens is Amazon and Kobo and Barnes and Noble online, those places sell them, and we don't have to order up a bunch of them in advance. They're printed as they're bought, so there's no overhead. So we can take a lot of chances that traditional publishing houses cannot take, while at the same time offering some of the same benefits to the authors that traditional publishing houses can, like promotion, because promotion's where it's at. That's it. Doesn't matter how well you write a book. It doesn't matter how wonderful that book is. It can be the best novel, the greatest.
Yes, it does. You don't talk about my literature like that.
Now, what I'm saying is it can be the absolute best product that a writer could possibly produce, but without the promotion and the marketing, it isn't going to sell a single copy.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, a lot of you people are not old enough to remember this, but back in the day, VHS and Beta was 10 times better than VHS, and look what we ended up with until we got DVD.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
So the thing about agents and the thing about publishers, and we covered this in some conversation last night, but I'm going to cover it again here. My novel High Kill, the third novel, the one I wrote about the horrible animal abuse in my area, Andrew thinking zombie, yeah, pretty much we're going to be agents. That novel is currently in the hands of an agent who is with the Foundry, one of the premier literary agencies in the industry. And they've already told me they loved it. He's already said, they have the full, they love it. But we haven't signed a contract, and I haven't heard from him in a while, and I know what he's doing. He's shopping that novel to the connections that he has and the networks that he has with publishers, which takes a while. You don't just get that done in a week. But he's shopping that novel, or at least the idea of the novel, to see if anybody nibbles. And if nobody nibbles, he's going to write me back an email and say, you know what, I love it, but sorry, I can't do anything with it. And he may not even be that nice about it. He may be, thank you, but no thanks. But that's the thing. He's only going to take on that novel if he knows he can sell it. And I don't want him to take it on if he doesn't think he can sell it. We have a different advantage. We don't have to operate in that paradigm. We can take some huge chances on novels as long as they're well written, as long as we love them. We can put them on our imprints and have no investment in them other than the promotion and whatever we decide to do along that, line. And if a book doesn't sell, it doesn't sell, and we're not out $500,000 trying to launch a novel. So, rat bastard. I was going to call you by your real name, but I cannot resist rat bastard. That is just epic. You're onto something. Yeah. You're onto something, my friend. Exactly. We do want a lot of experimental type. Not too experimental. Too experimental makes my eyes roll back in my head. But what I'm saying is we can take some chances on some things that you would never, ever, ever be able to pitch to a mainstream publisher.
Yeah, no, I can see that, and I have a lot of faith in what you're trying to do. I really do. I think it's something that's been needed in this industry for a long time now. I guess my only question is in promotion. Again, most publishers nowadays, and certainly the agents, want you to be able to self-promote. They want you to have 30,000 Twitter followers, another 30,000 folk on Facebook, and they want you geared up for this now. I got to say, if you get 30,000 followers on Facebook and Twitter, where's your time for writing?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, because I have a friend who is a published author, and most of his time is spent writing. So I don't see how he would have a whole lot of time to sit down and build a social media following purely to be able to pitch it.
I think everybody needs a presence on the major social media, but I got to tell you, you know, the sales that I got for talking to Luke, and I got quite a few of them. It peaked at number 7 in its category on Amazon. I think it was September of last year. Anyway, I've got all that in my records. But anyway, it peaked at number 7 in its category, and that technically puts it on the bestseller list. It was because of the promotion that I put into it, not because of Facebook, not because of Twitter, not because of any of the other things. It was because of my ads that I purchased. It was because once that train started rolling and people were downloading it, because this was ebook sales, it wasn't print copy. Once that train started rolling, it got into the Amazon algorithms, and when people would log on or they'd click a book, mine would pop up there. You might also like, ta-da! And I have people have sent me screenshots where they would get their weekly emails from Amazon, and my book was being pitched to them, talking to Luke, boom, right there in their email. That's why I got a lot of sales on that book, not because of Facebook or Twitter. So that's, we do need a presence, but I just can't say how right you are. I can't stress it enough. You're absolutely right. To put a lot of time into those platforms is a colossal time waster, and you just need a presence, and we'll take the rest of it from there.
I mean, isn't the whole reason that we're here instead of Facebook and Twitter because it's a colossal waste of time?
Ding, ding, ding. Yes, sir. You are correct.
But unfortunately, both Facebook and Twitter have got the numbers and the pairs of eyeballs. So
They do. They do.
You have to play their game.
Exactly. And like I say, we definitely need a presence. I mean, even the publishing house needs a presence on Facebook and Twitter, but that's not where the sales are going to come from. If I have untwittered, unfollowed. When I first joined Twitter, I had this idea that I was going to follow all of these book things and writery things, and I am so over promotioned. If I get one more tweet advertising somebody's book, I'm going to hunt that person down and I'm going to shove that book somewhere. I mean, it gets to the point that it backfires, that people get tired of having your stuff shoved in their faces. And, there's a way to do it, and that is not it. So,
yeah, our Twitter account got a message of someone with a link to their book today. Probably ignored that one.
Oh, goody.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe it worked in the beginning, but I just don't see it working anymore. People are sick of it. And so, but that's the beauty of what we're doing, is we have a whole new plan.
That, and the issue is it's oversaturation. So, I mean, even if you have all of these Twitter followers or these Facebook followers, eventually your promotion for your book is just going to get lost in the noise, and it's going to just be part of the background white noise that everybody who you're trying to promote to, because they're they're following X, Y, and Z different lists or groups, they're all just going to get the same thing. So they're eventually just going to tune it out.
Yes, indeed.
Sending people links to your book is kind of like people clicking on links in comments to your posts on Steemit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just bad form, and
bad form, Peter.
Bad form. I actually sort of pissed off a group of writers, because they had this idea that they were going to do this newsletter circle jerk. We're all going to advertise each other's books. So you get a newsletter, and you start a newsletter, and you get this oh my God, I can't even remember the name of it. It's some kind of Insta freebie or something like that. And you get an account, and you get all this, and you do all this, and then we're going to promote each other's stuff. And when it's your week, you're going to promote all of ours. And then when it's our week, we're going to promote yours along with 5,000 other books. And I wouldn't do it. I was like, are you kidding? I delete and block newsletters like that. Why am I going to send my stuff through one? No. So, and I may be wrong on that. That's more of opinion, and I will readily admit that. Maybe that does sell books, but God have mercy, spare us that, please.
Yeah, I'm with you. If I was ever approached by that kind of a newsletter, I'd just hit unsubscribe. Because I have neither the time nor the patience to sort through all of that and to find stuff that I want to read. That's, for me, word of mouth has always been the most effective way to promote a book to me as a reader. Now, of course, different people are different, but this idea of like shotgun blasting your title to as many people as possible without any context, I don't really, I don't see that working very well.
Yeah, writer, author of things has said it works well for first in the series if they are well done and free. There is some merit to what she's saying. I think free promotions, y'all may want to kick my teeth in before it's over with, but I'm telling you, free promotions are the way to go.
Free sales.
Free sales. Yeah. When you first release a book, especially the first in a series, if you put that sucker on perma-free for a month or two and people can download it just to see what it's like, they're going to buy the next in the series. And, you get a lot of readers and a lot of fans that way. School by Sean Costello, if I'm not mistaken, it's still free. And wonderful book. I mean, absolutely wonderful novel. And there's a story about Sean Costello I could share too about reviews and ratings. Maybe this is not the broadcast, but yeah, there is some merit to that, and we may do some of that. But we just, we're going to shoot for NetGalley and getting ARC reviews so that when our book is launched, it will be launched with, a couple hundred reviews already. We're going to shoot for BookBub, which doesn't really deal with new releases. They want your backlist. They really want a book that's already out there and has performed X. It's got to have a certain amount of reviews on Amazon. They've got to be a certain level before BookBub will even talk to you. But it's not. I mean, that's BookBub's the way to go. There's some other services like them that we can use in the interim that are very good. Kirkus, we're probably going to get some of our titles, get some Kirkus reviews on some of our titles, which I'm not a fan of Kirkus either, but boy, if you ever get a 5-star review, it'd be just like Sylvan Novell with that Sleeping Giants. It launched him into the stratosphere. So, we have a lot of things. We have a lot of things that we can play around with and see what works.
Sure. I mean, what you're looking at here is exposure by giving away your first book in a series of however many, whether it be a decalogy or a trilogy or whatever. But at the end of the day, if you're posting standalone books, how does that work?
They do sell. I mean, it's you can. Oh gosh, this would take up the whole conversation. Let's do another show about that. But I can answer your question. It's just so complicated. I would talk from now until midnight, and I don't want to do that. But it is very possible. When I had Talking to Luke, it was standalone at that time. I didn't know I was going to write a series or a sequel to it. But see, here's the other thing, and before I forget, here's the other thing I want to say as far as bringing traffic to Steemit. If we write a book, just say I wrote Talking to Luke, and I wrote Talking to Luke from Tanya's perspective. There's like two, the forward and the end is from his point of view. And it's a different person. I mean, it's first person where hers is third person. It's clearly a different thing. But what if somebody is wanting, is interested in some of the other characters? What if they want to read about Lily? Or, what if they want to read, some of the other stuff that's going on? Well, Diana Gabaldon has had a lot of success writing companion pieces to the Outlander series. She's got the whole John Gray stuff. She's got tons of short stories. And they're doing well for her because she's so well known. If she just up and as an unknown author, put these short stories out there, they wouldn't sell. But because people have already fallen in love with the characters and fallen in love with her as an author, they are beating down the doors to get her companion books. Well, Steemit is the place to publish the companion stuff. So what if your short story is free? If somebody reads your book and they love it, but you've written a short story about one of the other characters, or maybe about a different period in time or a different scene that didn't make the book. Carol Kane has a repository of companion pieces to her book Iron Wolf. People are going to come to Steemit to read that, and they're going to sign up with Steemit and get a Steemit account to interact with their authors. So we've got quite a bit of potential for leveraging the mainstream publishing community to get people to Steam it and get them involved in the platform just for the fiction. So that's what excites me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very salient point. The ability to reach out and touch the author, or almost touch the author, yeah, and perhaps to read some of a couple of short pieces that are put up there purely to stimulate that kind of activity.
Yeah, that's actually something that really caught my attention when we were first talking about this. Is you'll have authors go on, say Twitter or Reddit, and they'll do, an Ask Me Anything or whatever. But it's separate from them, and it's separate from their books. Whereas here on Steam It, they can publish, ancillary stuff related to their other stories, or, just short fiction that they want to publish and they wouldn't be able to get published elsewhere. And then readers can interact with them directly on that story in the comment page. So there's no level of separation. You're interacting with the author on the piece that they produced, which I think is a really powerful thing to have as readers and also as authors, to be able to encourage your audience to be involved and to be interactive with you as the author.
Before we go much further, I believe we got Jimitations ready to read a story for us.
We also have Greg, I think, who's wanting a minute.
So is that an invitation to me, or consider it?
That would be an invitation. Go ahead, Greg.
So this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, but it's on a totally different path. The other night when Transisto came, you brought up a lot of valid points. I made a post about that or whatever. And then I ended up in MSP Waves, and they were talking about the same thing. And I think in the chat channel, we were discussing something, and it dawned on me and a few other people. I don't know who said it first, but Steam It's really not a good place. It doesn't encourage the readers. It doesn't encourage a minnow curator. So all the people that you bring to the platform to read your material, if you're a well-known author, it's a big ask to say, invest so that you can pay me. I mean, that's a pretty big ask. And I just feel like that could be a problem.
Yeah, and I've heard that issue brought up before, and I'm not opposed to reworking the curation rewards, as some of the people that have been here a little bit as long as I have, or a little bit longer. You'll recall that curation rewards were at one point 25% author and 75% curation. So right now it's 50-50, and it was at 50-50 when I joined, and then they tweaked it to where it was 25-75 or something similar. I think it was 25-75. Either that or it was 30-60. But something like that, I think, would tilt the favor and incentivize curation better. I think there's a couple of ancillary issues that need to be addressed, such as the reward curve. That I think needs to be changed on top of that. But that's certainly a method that could be implemented to incentivize curation over just straight content creation. We need content, but we also need people on here reading that content. That's what most people do on Facebook. Most people browse Facebook and Reddit and everything else.
Yeah, totally agree. I believe we got Jimitations here now.
I didn't do it. That's the post I made earlier.
Jimmy!
What's up?
Hello.
Everybody hearing me?
Yes, we are, I believe.
Yeah,
yep, I am.
I believe you got a story to read for us.
I do. It looks pretty neat.
Well, in that case, you go right ahead. Just tell us what the title is and take it away.
Excellent. It is The Happiness Project. It is a short story contest entry in the Man vs. Society, and it was written by Jaina.
The children played in the afternoon sun. Sylvia looked on. They carried bright ribbons, and they danced and ran, streaking color against the monochrome backdrop of November brown hills. "They are so happy," Vern said. Sylvia nodded at him and smiled. As an indispensable, she was wary about saying anything to compromise her position. Vern crossed his arms. "I'll take over from here. You've been called to matchmaking." "Good news. I will go then." She turned and walked along the balcony, looking west. She imagined way off somewhere in Overland, her parents and sister Patrice were thriving. Perhaps they were homesteading, raising livestock, a vegetable garden. The sun had risen hundreds of times since President Uberall launched the Happiness Project. So much had changed. She missed the clocks and calendars she once took for granted, when days of the year meant something, and she could track time. "Time does not make us happy," she remembered Uberall announcing on the morning news screen. "I hereby abolish its effects." She entered the building where Vivaldi was playing, as always. "Terminally happy," her father once said. As a cellist, she preferred the richer, somber notes of Bach, but cellists were not deemed to have societal gifts. So he was gone, along with Shakespeare tragedies, Bach, and Yo-Yo Ma. On her way to matchmaking, Sylvia passed through bright hallways, decorated with sunny, bucolic paintings. She detoured through incentives to visit Richard and found him alone, hunched over his console. "Where's David?" Richard looked up, eyes speaking words he could not say. "Our work is nearly done. David was taken to the exit station today." Sylvia bit her lip. She had not imagined Richard to be at risk. He and David designed incentives, privileges for those who swore in and accepted the microchip. But now that most were indoctrinated or gone, perhaps their usefulness was over. She made her mouth smile. "How wonderful for David. But you will miss him. I will send a songbot to cheer you." She turned to go, blinking away hot tears. "I will miss you," he said. She shook her head once quickly and was out the door. On her way, she sent Richard a songbot about happy birds flying high over land and sea. In matchmaking, the attendant was waiting, hands on hips, grinning. "Ah, here you are." He introduced her to her mate. Brian had gray blue eyes and a smile as practiced as her own. They held hands and smiled for their engagement picture. "I love you," he said. "I love you too." The attendant posted their picture on screen with the others. "How beautiful. You will be summoned for your ceremony soon." Sylvia kissed Brian's cheek. "I must go to work." After child watch, her next chore was grounds watch, as she was one of the multitasking indispensables. The attendant touched his temple. "Miss Bellingham, you've been called to technology." "How wonderful." She stepped into the hallway and the quixotic splendor of Vivaldi's The Four Seasons and briefly imagined ripping the strings from violins. But then, in technology, she was greeted by a silver-haired matron with a stern smile. She cleared her thoughts. "Good day, Miss Bellingham." "Good day." The matron motioned for Sylvia to join her on the settee. "You are performing very well, Miss Bellingham. You are nearly ready for your next upgrade and new benefits." "Thank you. I'm so happy." "But of course, to be eligible, you know the requirement." "Of course." "Well, let's look at you. Let's look at what you'll be doing. Perhaps that will be incentive enough." The matron displayed a screen showing Sylvia working in a library, pushing buttons to download titles for her patrons. So much literature at her fingertips. But all the books had titles like Happy Times and Making Joyful Moments, the products of a societal skill. "May I think about it? For a day?" She walked out, glancing back. The matron watched with a twitching smile. She turned a corner, and then she walked faster. "Think." Quickly, she sent a new songbot to Richard. "We are birds in flight," she said into her device. "We fly over land to the setting sun. Now." She came into view of the grounds vehicles. No one. She got into the vehicle and waited, breathing. He needed time. Then she saw him. He was running. He started toward the vehicle and lurched forward as he jumped in. And at last they drove west, toward Overland.
I love that.
Wow. Wow. I can see why I lost out to that. That was excellent.
Yeah, that was my first time reading it. It's very good.
Well read and great story.
There, words kind of just don't do justice to the level of talent that Steam It has brought together,
They
and the
really
writer's
don't.
block.
They really
I,
don't.
I mean, I've been doing this for a lot of years. I've been involved in the writing community for 15, 20 years. I've lost count. But when you have a writing group the size of this one, you might be lucky to have 3 writers of that caliber in it. Uh, Everybody here is phenomenal.
That's actually something I'd like to say, because when I came here to the platform, as I've told, a number of people, I didn't come here to write fiction. Fiction's always been kind of like a hobby for me. And it wasn't until I was here on Steemin and decided, just for giggles, to get involved in a writing contest or a writing prompt, that I realized that, one, I wasn't that bad of a writer, and two, people actually wanted to read what I was writing. And that was just tremendous. It's just absolutely tremendous. It gave me all of the incentive and motivation I could ever need to want to improve myself as a writer and to keep writing and to keep putting stuff out. The only reason I don't do it as much now is because I have competing interests. But if I could spend time just writing all day, by God, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, me too. But I'm feeling just a little subdued, just in awe. Look at the panel of people that we have sitting here, in the radio talk. Um, Easy is, we all know I'm a fangirl. The talent there that made all of my bells ring as far as what Steam It is capable of doing. And then you just go down the list. I know that anybody listening cannot see the list, and you don't know these people and you haven't read their stuff, but we have like a world-class lineup just here in the radio show. And you're hearing these people talk, and then you may never have read anything they wrote. But I will say this, I'm in my late 40s, and I did not read the best short story that I've ever read until I think it was last week with Negativers. I
Oh
still
my
can't
God.
remember the title of that, but I've read a lot of stuff, and that trumped everything, and I can't quit thinking about it. And it was just flawless execution. And he's with us. He's with us. He's in our group. And so I think we all, even in the middle of all this kerfluffle with Transisto and with everything that we've got going on, I think we still need to stop every now and then and just look around and see what resources we have and realize this comes along once in a lifetime. We're not going to get this again.
That was comfortably numb. Yeah, G-Mux threw it up.
Yeah, comfortably numb. Boy, you want to read a story, you jump into that one.
Yeah, I think as writers, we're going to do what writers do. We're going to write.
But drink a bit first, like
Yeah,
Andrew
we're going to
said.
rewrite and rewrite and rewrite.
Speaking of which, I have every intention after the show's over to pour myself a glass, because I have rum, and rum is going to be what I'm going to be drinking tonight. But I'm going to pour myself a glass and knock out this memo so I can get back to doing what I want to do, which is write fiction and be involved in Steam It. If not for law school, I'd have all the time in the world for Steam It, but something's got to pay the bills. Hopefully one of these... Go ahead, Jimmy.
And that's the reason I do what I do. I didn't want to. I didn't necessarily want to be Grinch on Ice, but I did. I was Grinch on Ice the other day, and that's paying the bills. If it was up to me, I would do that every chance I get, and so I'm lucky enough to pay the bills doing what I love at the same time.
Well, hopefully in the very near future, we can just make a living off of publishing our books through Steamhouse. That's the idea.
It's a great idea.
It is. It is. I'm sure we're not the only ones to have thought it up, but I think we're in a unique position to be supremely successful at it.
I'm kind of distant from all the controversy going on right now, but I got to agree with Rhonda. This is an amazing talent group, and I've never been around people that are so willing to help each other out like our community here.
We're a people now. Are we like the Hebrews out of Egypt?
Well, I'm not a tribesman, but I'd be coerced to joining.
When Rondo was in Egypt land, let my Rondo go.
That's why you're going to be a lawyer, not a singer.
There you go. And that's why he's going to get
don't quit my
slapped
day job.
with
I
an
got it.
eggplant. Yes.
I feel a need to do a Charlton Heston impression here.
Do it. Do it.
Let my people write, and ye shall be redeemed.
That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad at all.
Haven't really done a Charlton Heston impression for about 20 years, but
get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty apes.
I'd like to be one of the greatest actors of your generation, and that's your best catchphrase that everybody knows.
My personal favorite is people. It's people.
Silent green is me. Damn you.
Anything beats the hell out of yo.
Oh, God. I love you guys. You guys are the best group of people.
We tolerate you.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. I heard you, Mux.
I don't hate you.
You just don't like me is all. You just don't like anything about me.
Well, some things maybe.
Good time.
I think it's safe to say we've devolved into nonsense now, but that's okay because we had some pretty heavy discussion earlier. It's, Jimitations, feel free to entertain us for a minute if you have some voices handy. There may be some people who've never heard you, and you deserve to be heard because you kill it, man.
Yeah, he's
Do your Christopher Walken.
Yes.
Do it.
Little man. No, I'm not doing Christopher Walken.
That was good.
Do it.
Come on.
Your father had this watch up his ass for 2 years. For 2 years. And now I give this watch to you, little man.
Holy shit.
I love that movie.
I don't know.
Wait, who was
this
that?
guy
'Cause I
is,
missed it. Who was
but,
that?
That was not Chris Walken. I am Chris Walken, and that was a terrible impression. Just absolutely awful.
I agree. Now, that's why I don't like to do Christopher Walken.
That was wonderful, though. God.
That was great. That was. Thank you.
These are the spokesperson auditions for the American Beef Council. Beef, it's what's for dinner. Go ahead whenever you're ready, Mr. Stallone. Hey, yo, beef, it's good for punching, all right? That's great, Mr. Stallone. Go ahead, Mr. Pesci.
Hey, you freaking beef, or I'm coming over there and I'm cracking skulls, all right? Hey, Ma, can I borrow a knife? My car hit a cow on the way over here.
Thank you, Mr. Pesci. Go ahead, Miss Rivers. Oh, my God. Can we talk about beef? Oh, my husband. I call him my significant other. Everybody, my breasts have fallen so far, I can get a mammogram and a pedicure at the same time. I'll grow up.
I cannot even breathe. I mean, this classic writer's block, y'all. Thank you. Imitations, you are hysterical, man.
Thank you, Rhonda. You know what's funny? It didn't like putting it in your terms, it didn't devolve into silliness until I came on board.
It's the best kind of silliness, though.
The true point.
That always happens. I can't bring him anywhere.
That's all right. I'm the same way. You can ask my girlfriend. She'll tell you the same thing.
Well, we can ask her actually because she recently joined the writer's block, and that was a happy day. I was really glad to see her.
Yes, I finally
Andrei.
convinced her. I finally convinced her to make it over here. Took a while. It took some
Excuse
plying,
me?
but I got here.
Who's this?
Lady Maharet, the lovely lady that joined the night before last.
Yeah.
You know, my girlfriend, which she said was the case if you were, reading the chat. And
welcome, Lady Maharet. Welcome.
I've been somewhat busy, dude.
Yeah,
we have been busy, but
okay.
I didn't miss her. I was very pleased to see her come in.
Yeah, that's my point. Rhonda didn't miss her. What's your excuse, Muxie?
I didn't care.
That's what I thought.
So what have I been missing? What's going on?
Oh, a whole host of things. A whole host of things, my friend.
Listen to the recording.
Oh, he knows. He's been getting an earful from me.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, I think all of us have had a mouthful to say about a lot of stuff that's been going on. But you know what? The great thing is that we're moving forward, and that we've had some pretty cool things happen. But here's the thing. Far in the future, when we have our Steam House publishing meetings and retreats and get-togethers and whatever flying things we're going to have,
Are we going to take flying cars to get there?
Huh? Oh, yes. True.
Can I have a jetpack?
Yeah, jetpack. But we're going to be sitting around. I mean, that far in the future, seriously, we're going to be sitting around over beer or rum or whatever we have, and somebody's going to say, I was there the day Transisto came into the writer's block. That that is going to go down in infamy, and I want to know who else saw him. He typed forever before anything popped up on the screen. Did anybody else have a heart attack besides me?
Oh yeah, I was watching that. My jaw dropped open, and then I went into my DMs and I invited Lexiconical and Faustin, and yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, I think I died about 3 times.
Yeah, because you don't know what to expect. I mean, he might have been coming in there to tell us that he knew all of our addresses and he was going to drop bombs on our houses. I mean, there was just no way to know. And the scroll back, boy, if he read it, and see, this is what, and I've really done everything that I wanted to say. I've said, and I will shut up and let someone else talk at some point. But here's this. He comes into the writer's block and he could scroll back and see everything that everybody was saying about him. Did he react to any of it? No, he did not. And, I think we all might be very angry at some of the things that went on, but you got to give kudos where kudos is due. He could have reacted to a lot that he did not react to. And, that's something.
Then he also could have equivocated on some of the questions that we gave him, and he did not. He was straight up.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. And like I said, I will credit him to the moon and back for being straightforward, for being honest, and for taking the time to stand up and actually say it.
And I'm also going to credit him for taking 10 years off my life that night too. But that's a different story.
I don't understand what everybody got so nervous about. I was sitting there just waiting. I was waiting, and I was excited about it. I mean, ostensibly, I was excited because I was about to bring out the big guns and prepare to demolish this guy in chat, but that ended up not happening. So,
well, I mean, and once he started talking, I was fine. But I'm sitting there thinking about everything that everything was saying, and scroll back, and I'm like, oh shit, But he was great. I mean, about that, he just totally let it roll off, and Transisto, if you ever hear this, I don't care, what differences that we have, opinions or whatever, and I'll probably catch a flag from you at some point in the other, and I hope I do, because if I catch a flag from you over this, it's going to mean I've made it to the big time. So,
Oh, no. You need to hold out for that Bernie Sanders flag.
There you go. But anyway, the point is that we thank you for you were just great about it, and can't say anything else on that. That's it.
Well, as I understand it, the reason people were so nervous is because when you're in a pool of minnows and a killer whale comes swimming into the pool, you're going to get a little nervous, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, one snap and we would have been lunch. And that's we weren't. And so, it's appreciated.
Which is also part of the reason why I kept myself from talking as much as was, reasonably possible. I don't have a problem dying on any particular hill that I choose. However, this is not my project solely. I'm not solely responsible for this, and this doesn't belong to just me. So
Yeah, and that was kind of in the back of my mind too. I mean, we're responsible for a lot of people, and people would get caught in the crossfire, but still, I was so proud of our folks. Our people were just. I mean, I'm proud of the writer's block anyway for so many reasons. I've not seen a group of people. I mean, I've certainly not seen a writer's group like this, but I've not seen a group of people who can get things done with the efficiency that we can. I mean, there's something to be said for that. I was really proud of everybody for the way we kind of became Borg and one mind and dealt with this issue. And we all have our own opinions and our own thoughts, but when the rubber meets the road, we deliver. And that's another reason that I think the publishing house is going to succeed, is because you got a solid foundation. It's a great place to start.
Agreed.
well, I think we've had a very productive show. Who else wants to contribute something or has something that they want to talk about? I mean, we're coming up on an hour and 45 minutes, so we still got about 15 minutes before 2 hours hits. So I mean, we got plenty of time to talk about various other things. Anybody have anything else going on?
Can I just mention my writing contest?
I guess.
Okay, let me drop a link.
Spam.
Shut up, you.
Go ahead.
This is my latest art prompt writing contest. There's still, I think, 3, maybe 4 days left on it. So far, I've only had 2 entries come through. So if you'd like to have a look at that, let me just bring up what the prizes are, because I forget.
I think Jana should wait till about 2 hours before the deadline and then submit something.
It seems to work.
The overall winner will win 20 SBD plus the SBD payout from that announcement posting chat. And thanks to the generosity of Author of Things and Negativa, who donated their prizes from one of my previous contests, I got 3 runners-up prizes of 5 SBD each. So there's a pretty good chance of winning something.
I have a question.
Shoot.
I don't know if Negativer is here, but Trish Larimer, for those of you who don't know, we live together. But Trish and I are constantly wondering, how do you pronounce that? Negativer? What's up?
I pronounce it Negativa, but whether it's right or not, I don't know.
I go with the long I. I'm from the South U.S. Trish from further South U.S. likes the way you say it, Chimux.
Doesn't really matter how you pronounce it. That man has talent.
Yeah, he sure does.
I was supposed to talk about the armistice story tonight and the critiquing process, but we've only got 15 minutes left. It's probably not enough time to give the critiquing process a good enough, going over. So, do you guys want to just put that off till next week or another time?
Yeah, we can. I don't have any problem with that.
I would imagine that by next week, we will all have forgotten where we were when someone came into the block.
I disagree. That memory will live on in infamy. A date which will live in infamy.
Yeah, but that's good with me.
Do it, Jimmy. You know you want to.
What were you thinking? What were you thinking I want to do?
That voice that you do from the 40s, you know.
Oh, that one from the radio announcer guy.
Or
Yeah,
what
that
about
one.
what about the posh North Atlantic accent?
Oh, you mean sort of like Mr. Howe?
Yeah, yes. Yes.
Hey, God's lover, you're Yale man. That's my best Gilligan's Island, Mr. Howe.
Can you do George Jetson?
I prefer sort of a presidential sort of accent to initiate what we are talking about and add it to the community.
Do George Bush.
Sounded like John F. Trump.
Do Bush.
Yes. Do Bush, please.
Now, I believe it's pronounced nugget liver or something.
Negativer. I don't know. I don't know, but it sounds like it could be right.
Listen, I'm the decider.
You couldn't decide where your ass was if you had two hands and a flashlight. You should leave the field clear for a real man to be president.
Hey, let's not go presidential. No, let's please. Let's
Do Reagan.
Well, in all my days, I suppose I want to get in the writer's block and Mommy, what is the writer's block?
Yeah.
At one point, I had a decent Jimmy Carver, but I don't think I can summon his ghost up at this point in time.
Psst, he's not dead.
Sure he is. Have you seen him?
He's still building houses.
Golly gee. Well, if I have anything to say about it, I think the writer's block is a fantastic initiative, and Henry thinks so too. And so does my dog Checkers. He really loves the idea.
Let me say this about that. I am not a crook. America needs to know that their president is not a crook.
I am not saying that what the president did was illegal. I'm saying that when the president does something, it's not illegal.
How about Clinton?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? I just wanted to say welcome to everybody, and I'd like to assure the American people that I took a hit of that karma, but I've never ingested it.
Oh my God!
And as your vice president, I'm going to tell you this: we're going to put it in a lockbox, and we're going to keep it secure.
That one I don't know.
Lockbox.
That was Gore, right?
Yeah, that was Gore. Or that was me trying to be Gore. I did not flag that woman. What precisely is the definition of flag?
Okay, that's epic right there.
That was perfect.
Yes. Text let it typed it in the chat. Oh my God. It does not pay to be around a bunch of writers who've had a little wine or rum or beer or whatever. It gets really sideways real fast.
All contrary, it pays. It pays.
It so pays. Oh God, it pays. It pays dividends forever.
Jimmy and I don't do our show without gin.
I don't do the Shane and Muxie show without some radio juice.
Radio juice. From now on, it's going to be called Radio Juice. Thank you, G-Mux.
Well, he kind of did Trump when he was doing Kennedy, so, you know.
Do Trump. author of things wants to hear Trump.
No, thanks. I'm not feeling it.
That's unusual.
The writer's block is going to be huge. We have some of the best writers, and they're incredible. They're just the best. They're stupendous. You can't find better writers anywhere.
They're great. They're stupendous. You're not going to find better writers. It's going to be something. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. People are going to come in from all over. We're going to build a wall between us and the whales, and we're gonna make the whales pay for it.
I love you guys. I love this place. I love all of you guys. This is great.
Steam House Publishing is going to be huge, right?
Huge.
Very steamy. You're going to love the steam.
Look at how big my hands are. Look at how big my hands are. You're going to love it. I know it. You know it. Everybody knows it.
Oh my gosh, y'all. You guys are crazy.
Sure, that's what they said about Charles Manson.
True.
Look where he's at.
Didn't he write a book?
He wrote a couple, and he died, yesterday? The day before?
Oh, did he? Right. I didn't know that actually happened. I know that was going to happen, but I didn't know that it happened so recently.
I should point out he was never a part of the writer's block.
Yes, we're not. We are. We're not affiliated with Charlie Manson.
Or was he?
He might have had an alias. No, we don't know.
There's actually, I think, a series of usernames of serial killers.
I've seen Ted Bundy around before.
Yeah, and all of those usernames are on Bernie's bot list.
We don't want to know what you do in your spare time.
I do.
Me? I have bronchitis. That's why I sound the way I do.
Well, that's one way to use your spare time, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a horrible way to use my spare time. It totally is. I'm not going to do it again. Last time I'm doing this.
What's spare time?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wish I knew.
You know, the time when I procrastinate working.
Oh, so like what I'm doing now.
Like we're all doing now, really.
Okay, Roger. It's just wanted to make sure.
I call this procrastinating. We should have been getting some stuff done, but we spent the whole time procrastinating.
I love that word. I'm going to use it from now on.
We really need to work on the dead air. I don't know.
We can't help it. We can't help it though. That's part of what I enjoy about this radio show and what I enjoy about having a show with all of you guys is it's not that big a deal. It's okay. I mean, it does sound awkward sometimes, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And I mean, on the bright side, I if it really became an issue, I could just go out and edit it out. So it's no biggie.
I thought it was sipping silence.
Yeah,
that's
that's
right.
good.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Or I thought maybe somebody saw transistor typing again and we just all kind of shut up.
Oh no! Oh my God! Yeah, I don't think so.
I should point out he is actually online.
Well, Transisto, if you can hear this, we're not talking shit about you.
I mean, really, we're not. So I wouldn't lose 10 years off my life this time.
Just 5?
4.5.
Okay. 4.25 is the best I can do.
Okay.
That's a deal. Does anyone else have anything to announce or share?
I'm not wearing pants.
Do you ever?
He wears no pants.
Still one of the greatest show intros ever. So again, thank you, Jimmy, for doing that. For everybody who is listening in for the first time, the show intro is the result of Jimmy doing his wonderful array of voices set to a fantastic song by the Epoxy Boggards, which we were lucky enough to be able to use for our intro show. So thank you again, Jimmy.
No problem, guys. It's the least I can do,
we've had Easy with us the whole time. You haven't said much, but we do thank you for hanging with us, and hope you don't need therapy after being with us this long. Things do get sideways, but we've enjoyed having your company.
Yeah, thanks. I was just listening into you guys. So yeah, thanks.
You are terribly fun to listen into, everybody, I have to say.
Lena!
Hello!
Hi, Lena.
Hi, Lena.
Hi.
Arguably the person with the best audio quality ever here in this group.
And the bluest hair.
Yes.
Depends which day of the week.
Yeah, it depends on the day.
Yes, true. But you can power lift GMUX, so none of us are going to argue with you about anything.
She might be getting some competition from my girlfriend, which I'm very excited about, because she also indulges in awesome hair colors and is able to power lift me. So there might be some competition.
Oh, that is wonderful. I love that. You need to send pictures.
Well, if ever there is a Steam Fest in the US and we all meet up, then we need to do a double shot.
Yes, we do. 100% we do.
Power lifted people.
We're pushing for having Steamfest in Steamboat, Colorado.
Steamboat. Me too. It's we can just change the letters. We'll get the city council of Steamboat to change it to STEM, and just for that week we're there.
Seriously, they'd pass a resolution for that.
I don't even think they'd be opposed. I mean, I don't really know much about the town, but I can't imagine them like not wanting to get on board with that.
Oh no, they'd love it. They'd make all kind of money from
hell
people
yes
coming
they
in.
would.
It's a great place. It's unusual. It's down in a valley, so it's a 3.5 hour drive from Denver, and when you get there, you're only 2,000 feet above Denver. So it's about 7,500, and of course Denver's a mile high. So you drop down into this valley, and yet they have some of the best skiing in the world. So it's an incredible place.
Well, I am looking forward to that being the case. I would really, 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 really enjoy it, and I can't wait for that announcement to be made because I am going to be there.
We should just decide that and do it ourselves.
Well, yes, and I definitely think that we could and we
Writers
should.
Blockfest.
Yes, because we've talked about that before. But that aside, I would love for Steamfest, like actual Steamfest, to come here to the States just so we can network to everybody else. Because how many of us would be there? How many of us, like right now listening, would be there at Steamfest if it was in Colorado?
Yep.
Oh yeah, I would.
Yeah.
It would be most of the block, most of the people here that are on the show and that are mods or editors or senior editors. Most of us would be there. We would be a group.
Has there been any talk or any rumors or anything that anyone's heard about where they are wanting to do it next year?
As he alluded to it earlier, yes.
I've heard Austin, Texas, and a few other places, but yeah, Austin, Texas seemed to be the place that he must.
Are you freaking kidding me?
That would make sense.
Oh, that's even better because I can drive there.
That's my town, dude.
Hell yeah!
That would be awesome.
I'll even ride into town with my Stetson on.
Even Shane would be able to make that one.
Yeah, I could. I absolutely could. It's I forget how many hours exactly it is for me, but I mean I can drive that as well.
I would be willing to drive up and then drive down with you. Let me put it to you that way, Rhonda.
Can you?
What are you talking about?
That would be amazing. Oh gosh, let him have it there. Oh please, that we would kill it, guys.
Could you come over and pick me up?
Sadly, they don't have a land bridge yet, but I would be willing to if they did.
Can you swim, GMUX?
Not that far, no.
I don't have one of those fancy VW cars that turns into a boat.
Can you imagine us at Steamfest? It would be Austin would. Well, first of all, I would need to take out extra insurance on myself. But if all
The
of
town
us
would never
showed
be
up.
the same.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, Austin they would never recover. It would be epic tragic or tragic epic or just funny. I mean, it might be just funny.
You've never been to Austin. You guys will fit right in. You'll never want to leave.
The motto of the town is help keep Austin weird.
Keep Austin weird. Yep.
Oh boy.
Well, I think that would be a suitable note to end on. We're coming up on 2 hours, so I think we're good for tonight. Anything else? Anybody else want to mention?
Yeah, I want to
Keep
just
the
thank
letters up
everybody.
weird.
I want to thank everybody for what they did with the armistice story. That was the absolute worst piece of schlock I ever submitted to the queue, and you guys have turned it into a thing. I just went and checked a while ago, which is why I wasn't catching on to Austin, and looked at Armistice Inc. Has been published less than a day and up to 350 something, I think. I don't see it. I just don't see it, and maybe it's because I saw this story in such a lousy form to begin with, but it was not me that turned this thing into anything that was worth even looking at. It was everybody in the writer's block, everybody who jumped into the queue, and you guys are the ones that made that story. Thank you.
Well, as you know, I've nominated that for OCD, and hopefully it gets chosen. So,
which just amazes
fingers crossed.
I just don't see that. I'm glad that you do, G-Mux, but I don't see that in this story. And it's probably because I had to work with it so hard. It's like I left in one of the comments that this thing came into the world screaming and kicking, and it did. It did not want to be born. This was some of the worst writing I've ever done in my life. It was experimental. I was trying to branch out and get into a little bit of a different feel, so to speak, which I miserably failed at. And that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that you guys took something that was a lump laying on the ground, and you turned it at least into a little bitty miniature statue, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Did you nominate it for tomorrow, Muxie?
Yes.
Okay, I will go vote for it.
Well, I caught a little bit of the thing. I've been so busy, I haven't even been in the queue. I mean, I haven't even had time. I think I've got a story in there or something that I haven't even looked at. I mean, it's been crazy the past few days. But I want to say this: if it was truly as bad as you say it was, which I doubt.
I have the original. I took very good notes on this process so that we could go over it really well, because I want people to understand the process. And so I've got good notes. I will be able to show you how lousy it was.
Well, that will be an excellent thing. And if you don't mind waiting until the show next week, I think that does deserve more than 15 minutes. I'm sorry you got kind of shoved out tonight.
We had things to do tonight.
Well, that is that has got to be done because it really does speak to the level of editing talent that we have in the group. Because we talk about the writing talent, we also have formidable editing talent. We have Carol Kane, who's the assistant editor for Perihelion Science Fiction. She's an Amazon Vine Voice reviewer, and she also reviews for NetGalley. And she's gotten so much attention through NetGalley that some of the top 5 contact her to, specifically to review novels they have coming out. She's volunteers her time. Rebecca Rasmussen, she's been a professional editor for many years. She's worked with a lot of fiction. Jessica Hughes has worked in editing, and possibly, if I'm not really 100% sure, but I think she's been in nonfiction mostly and writing technical things, which gives her just an exemplary skill for the technical aspect of the writing. But we have new people who have come on board and jumped in that queue. And Andrew has been with us a while, and he just but the level of editing that our people are capable of giving a piece of a piece of fiction, that's for Steamhouse. That's what we're getting with Steamhouse. And when an author is published through Steamhouse, that's what they're going to get. And I don't see how it's going to go wrong. I mean, it's just, it's very strong. And I feel so proud, and I'm so glad that we're bringing this to the table.
Well, that's essentially what I was saying. The editing is what made that story. It certainly was not me. even this morning when I published the thing, you brought up Andrew being a great editor. He gave me one suggestion that I would guess if you were just looking at things and trying to guess on 100% scale. Of course, we all know literature is not linear, but if you were trying to guess at it, his suggestion this morning to move one sentence from one place to another, not change anything, just move the sentence, I would say increase the readability, the value, and just the general ability of the story to get the point across by about 15%. One suggestion. I mean, and it was already published. We don't even stop when it's published. That's what I like about the people here. We go and we'll read it and we're like, oh yeah, well you missed this. And again, we can go change it before it gets locked down into the blockchain, with a mistake in it. Anyway, I just wanted to take the time to thank everybody, because you guys seriously did some hard work on that thing, and apparently it was a success.
Well, I'm pretty excited about hearing it next week. That's something to look forward to.
I gotta admit, I think the editors on the writer's block are absolutely top of the line.
We appreciate that deeply.
All right. Well, I think that does it for this week's show.
Can I quickly mention something?
Yeah, go ahead, Pegasus. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Hey, it was a little late. I recently updated the logo for the writer's block, and someone was asking about it in the fiction workshops. I just wanted to say, if anyone wants to use it, that's doing their stuff through the writer's block, it's ready to use. So it's finished. If you need bigger PNGs or an SVG or whatever, just let me know.
I love it, Pegasus. I've used it already. I probably was using it too early, but I love it.
Oh, no, it's perfect.
Where's it pinned to so we can find it?
It is in the hearth room.
Okay.
Or the round table.
Yeah, everybody can't get to it there, so we probably do need to move it out. And I think Jason was going to put it in the GIF. And I told him, I said, just take creative license with it. Don't make it look like mine. Make it look like whatever you want it to look like. Just make sure that GIF links back, links to the website that leads here. So you did an outstanding job with that. And that's, again, my dogs. Here we go again with, just talent that falls from the sky. We have graphic arts capabilities too, and book covers, and you start thinking about it, and get me thinking about I won't sleep tonight, and I haven't slept the past 2 nights, so I'm just stopping.
Just giving up on sleep.
Yeah.
But by all means, drop them into general and pin them, so
Sure,
people can have access then.
Pegasus, we need you to do a book cover that says 50 Shades of Blame.
Yes, please.
I'll have to come up with something.
And it has to be Kermit Green.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it must. Green, definitely. Kermit Green, definitely.
You got it.
All right. Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap up the show. You can listen into the show and find us on the Writer's Block Discord server every Tuesday from 5 p.m. till 6 or 7 p.m. depending on how long the show goes, or how long the show goes. Yeah, I said that right? I'm stumbling over my words.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So from 5 p.m. Central Standard Time till whenever the show ends, which is usually 6 or 7 p.m. And we'll be here every Tuesday. And until then, you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you for listening. And as always, pants are optional.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.